Why wait for the news?
Well, these seasonal.
When you want it. Like WCCO Radio on Facebook. Get news at your fingertips and connect with your favorite
Chris, can you do my mic?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
WCCO Radio today.
But will it be a winter wonderland? Are we ever going to get some winter for the skiers and snowmobilers and snowshoers, etc.? We're going to find out that, among other things. We've invited our friend, meteorologist Frank Watson, back to the, as they used to say, the CCO microphone. Frank, good to see you again.
Hey, good morning, Denny.
Yeah, it's been a while since we chatted.
Just a little bit.
And you and I were talking off air that fall is over, and I was looking at the forecast, and it certainly sounds like it.
Right.
I'm sure your people, your friends, your neighbors, relatives are asking, Frank, this is so unusual, this fall weather we've had. I mean, I can still see my green lawn. What's going on?
Yeah, well, most people really have been quite complimentary. They kind of love me right now, but they may not like me next week.
Yeah, it's going to be changing. There was a CCO listener sent me this, and maybe you can explain what this person meant. I think I know. He was referring to the controversy about the climate change, the warming, the temperature, just the changes.
Mm-hmm.
He said the old saying is, climate is what you expect, weather is what you get.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, weather is what happens, outside that day. And climate is, you get all those days and you start putting them together, and that's your climate.
Okay, very good. Explain to the folks who maybe don't remember your father, and that you kind of can continue on his work, Bruce Watson, that we've talked to over the years. What have you done? You brought in another calendar. This is a brand new Watson's Weather Watch calendar for 2017. We'll talk about that coming up. But what do you do? How do you collect all this information?
Well, every day I go out and I have a weather station. My dad had a weather station in his backyard. In fact, my mom still has the weather station in her backyard, and we make daily observations and any type of weather event that occurs in the metro Twin Cities, western Wisconsin. I record them in my journals, and then I kind of piece them together, and we came up with a weather calendar here. It's kind of exclusive here for the Minnesota, western Wisconsin area.
Okay, where is that available?
Well, you can get it online at my website, weathermanwatson.com, or go downtown White Bear Lake at Lake Area Booksellers, a nice little bookstore in White Bear. We have Santa and wagon rides down there today, so a good reason to go down there. The weather is supposed to be great. And the Minnesota History Center down there in St. Paul.
That's a great place, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I love that place. All right, what are we facing now? You alluded to that forecast coming up next week. I'm looking at some temperatures here. You can back me up. Sunday night down to 28, but let me see here.
Tuesday.
By Tuesday night, Wednesday's high will be around 16.
Right, back into the teens there.
Now, is that
it's been a while.
Average for that at this time of year? Is that colder?
No, usually we're in the upper 20s, so
okay.
It'll be a good 10 to 15 degrees below average for that time of year. But you know what? A lot of the talk earlier this fall was from the Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah,
if you remember, it was an extremely cold winter and lots of snow. And so far, we really haven't seen that. And the reason they were basing that on was more of a La Nina type of flow. And if you remember that, it also was connected to the polar vortex, which we kind of not really came up with, but kind of really made the news headlines. And when you say polar vortex, it sounds a lot, people know what a polar vortex, and that sounds like, ooh, that sounds cool. But if you say La Nina, it really doesn't have that big of an impact on your brain. It's like, oh, La Nina, what does that mean?
And La Nina, is that the opposite of El Nino?
Yeah, which is a colder, snowrier flow. But we really haven't seen that type of a setup yet. But even with the forecast next week, it's really not that classic polar vortex type of flow. Even though we'll have some colder temperatures, it doesn't look like we're really going to be set in that polar vortex or La Nina type of flow for continued cold. I think it'll just be kind of a one-shot, one-week deal where we'll have some cold temperatures. We'll probably have below zero in outstate Minnesota here, but as far as the Twin Cities, we'll probably get down to the single digits. But I think we'll bounce back back up to near normal to even above normal here as we head into the more toward Christmas.
What about this snowfall, would you say, for all the ski areas and the resorts that would love to see more natural snow?
Right, yeah, you know, that's going to be a little tough. I know they were going, the Farmer's Almanac, I hate to quote them, competition, but, but you know, they were going, you know, a snow, and we average about 55 inches of snow. Well, as we've seen, November was quite warm, and we really missed out on a good foot of snow because it rained.
Yes.
And so I think actually we're going to be down in snow this year. I'm thinking mid-40s, about 45 inches, which is about 10 inches below normal.
So average is 50 something.
Right, up from last year. If you remember, last year hardly any snow. I think we had what, 34 inches. It was really sparse.
Now this has been, has it not, a record for this area, a record warmth for the warmest fall on record, more or less?
Oh, more or less, yeah. It's definitely one of the top 5. November was the second warmest November recorded, about almost 10 degrees above average here in the Twin Cities, and even outstate Minnesota, anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees above normal, so very, very mild.
What did I read recently, and I should have taken notes knowing that you were going to be on them. By the way, if you're just joining us, meteorologist Frank Watson is with us talking about the upcoming winter. I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll come back. And I want to ask about what the photographs that NASA had taken, that, I don't know, the polar ice caps that we used, we'll talk about it. In the Twin Cities, speaking of weather, it's overcast, dew point. A lot of people want the dew point these days, Frank.
In the winter too?
In the winter too. Dew point's 19. Our CCO temperature reading at 29 degrees. We'll be right back. Yeah, what was it? Was it the polar ice caps? What satellite imagery did they said it's really reducing.
It is, yeah. And, you know, it does play a big part on our weather. It has a big influence on the upper weather patterns.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Mortgage rates have dropped to the second
What
lowest
did I
level
see on
in
TV
history. The rate today on a 30-year
yesterday,
fixed
day
rate mortgage
before,
is all the way down to
about
3.99%.
the cold weather coming in from Siberia to Canada through Alaska?
Yeah, it's not the Siberian Express coming, though.
It's not that,
every
no.
month. So lock in
That's
this
good.
ultra-low rate before it goes back up. Call 800
It's definitely a little chunk of
800
polar,
Call for cost information.
Yeah.
but not Siberia.
It's something
When
we can,
yeah, when we get the
something we
Siberian
can deal
Express,
with.
that's when we get
My
the
number 2 does
real
not
big.
look like a number 2.
And there's no snow on the
I don't
ground,
know what to call
and that
it.
really helps a lot.
Is there a
I was
number?
gonna ask that, is that, I mean, because it feels like, you know, like, my wife always says, like, if it's gonna be cold, I'd rather have snow.
Middle seat with
And I
these
say, well,
problems? That's my
My
fear
thought
of
is always,
mine.
well, if there's snow,
Sounds
isn't it
like you-
colder?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It keeps it.
It'll drop the temp about, if
Digestive condition called
there's a snow cover, and we have clear skies and light winds, it's probably 5 to 10 degrees colder.
Let's talk
It is,
about that.
okay, so that's, yeah, so
Yeah.
you wouldn't rather have the snow.
Yeah.
You don't like the cold.
Yeah, let's
Cool.
talk about that.
There's plenty of winter left, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. December 3rd, folks.
Her thought is always different, you know, when it gets to, when all the leaves fall, and it's,
Yeah.
then things begin to look dead and dirty, and snow makes things look nice, and it does, but
How far does she drive to work?
yeah, not that far. So, she doesn't have a good perspective.
Is there anything else you want to cover in the 6 minutes or so when we come back? 5, 6 minutes?
Oh,
Besides this issue?
Yeah, I'll do a quick shout out to my photographers too.
Oh, yeah.
Thank them.
There's some really cool pictures in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a neat calendar.
There are real differences.
Yeah, let's do that.
This is my, I've told Frank this before, but this is my golf guide for the year.
Oh.
It's got sunrise, sunset, average.
That's cool.
I do look at it, especially we have our big golf trip in May, and I'm always comparing, like, what are we looking at?
Travel benefits, even dental coverage. Yeah, I can see why people want that coverage. I want that coverage.
When are we
So how
back
do
here,
listeners
Chris?
find out?
We're back in
Ways to talk
30
with their friends who have UCare. UCareplans.org is another great resource with links to rates, benefits.
Yeah, let's talk about what NASA
Any
found, and then we'll go into Chris's
That's a
question
big deal
about
at
the
UCare.
snowfall.
We're always here to help. And help they do. If you want to get all the benefits of UCare for seniors, call one of their Medicare specialists at 1-877-523-1518 or visit ucareplans.org. Live from the Carrier Heating Studio in downtown Minneapolis, this is News Radio 830 WCCO.
CCO time is exactly 6:20 Central Time. 29 degrees is our Twin City temperature reading. Denny Long here with meteorologist Frank Watson. He brought us in his new Watson's Weather Watch calendar. It's got a whole bunch of data on it. And Chris, we were talking here, as you know, Frank, and Chris said he uses this for his golf schedule to find out sunrise, sunset, you know, all of the above. This is really jam-packed with a lot of information.
Right, and my dad was really into data, so that's why it's...
big time.
Yeah.
All right, when we broke, just before we broke, I wanted to talk about this information that NASA had released. Was that about the polar caps that are being used? What exactly were they talking about?
Right, the North Pole and the polar ice cap, it actually has a pretty big influence on our weather here and the upper air pattern. And what they've kind of found is the less ice we have out there, the more elongated the upper air weather pattern can be. And what that means, we would have like a more wide swing of temperatures and a wide swing of weather. So you may experience maybe some extremely warm temperatures followed by extremely cold temperatures rather than more of a narrow band of swings in temperatures. And the reason for that is, you know, that open water, the ice reflects the sunlight, but open water absorbs the sun's energy, and that's why the higher latitudes up around the North Pole, Arctic Circle, northern Canada, that's why there's some of the most impacted temperature changes that we've seen so far as climate change and temperatures warming.
Now, we mentioned the Twin Cities forecast coming up for this coming week, definitely colder than it has been. There's, you know, highs of 12 or 18 or 16. But this is, you said, not the Siberian Express.
Yeah, this is not the Siberian Express where we're having winds directly over the North Pole into Canada, into us. It's more of just kind of a chunk of polar temperatures coming down our way. And even then, they're going to moderate. And one of the things that we talked off here with Chris is our lack of snow.
Yeah.
If we have snow on the ground, light winds, clear skies, fresh snow cover can impact the overnight or morning temperature.
Making it colder, right?
Yeah, much colder, you know, about 10 to 15 degrees sometimes.
Wow.
So it could be colder if we had snow on the ground, but we don't, so it's not going to be as bad or as cold as it could be.
I don't see, at least you can tell me this, if there's much snow in this week's forecast. I didn't see much.
They had talked about a snowstorm, but it looks like it's going to probably miss us, and we'll probably just get some light snow flurries, and that's about it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your calendar, because you've got, not only do you have all the data that you've collected, but beautiful photographs. Who took all of these?
Well, mainly friends, Facebook friends, actually.
Oh.
I'll put a little call out for photos, and they'll submit photos. And January's picture, if you look at that one, and that's actually Lebanon Hills in Egan. It looks like it's from out west.
It does.
And this one guy, Bill, I call him Bill 550K Pomeranke. He's a big trail runner, and he just snapped that with his cell phone. And man, I thought, man, that's a beautiful picture. And it looks like it's from Colorado, but it's right here in the Twin Cities.
I was just going to say, mention Colorado. It's just like that, yeah.
And then Ron Fireman Hawkins, he's a big contributor. He does a lot of travels around the state parks, and he takes really beautiful photos too. And
that was right in White Bear Township.
Yeah, Tamarack Nature Center.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have another buddy, Dan Colucci. He's a big photographer now. He's a fellow meteorologist, so he gets outdoors and cleans.
Uh-huh.
And she has that beautiful barn picture for the month of April.
A great shot.
And she sent me an update one of that barn, and it's now kind of fallen into the water. Yeah. And then my close friend of mine, Dale, the insurance man, Graham Bush, he took a beautiful photo of the eagle. Yeah.
Wow.
But and another close friend, Sue Welter. She does a lot of bird rehabilitation for some society here in the Twin Cities.
So you get a lot of good help with this camera.
I know. I can't do it by myself. At least the photography. I know my limitations.
All right. We've been talking with Frank Watson. What do you say if people say there's no, like some politicians say, there is no climate change. This is just a snapshot. This happens again and again. Different. It's a cyclical thing.
Well, they always say the climate's always changing. Well, it is true. It is always changing, but it's at the pace and the period that we're changing in that's really made the difference since the Industrial Revolution.
And over the years, getting back to nature, critters, just thinking about the state of Minnesota, the critters that only used to be found in far southern Minnesota are now moving
Right, and I think
Far
we talked
north.
about possum, that's a
Yes,
big noticeable one.
that's one of them.
And when we have an extended fall like we did now, you know, we get extra hatchings of mosquitoes and other kind of varmints. Maybe the mice don't go into hibernation as soon, rabbits stay out longer, and we have maybe an extra cycle of them too. So there are consequences for a warmer climate.
All right, before you leave us, I know we just have seconds to go, Watson's Weather Watch calendar is available at?
WeathermanWatson.com, Lake Cellar Booksellers in downtown White Bear Lake, and the Minnesota History Center.
And what can we expect this winter now?
Mild to the beginning of the year, then colder January, February, and March, and about 45 inches of snow.
All right, we'll be calling on you to find out how you did with your crystal ball. Frank, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Denny.
You bet. 29 degrees here in the Twin Cities. Should we talk to, should we hear Mike Lynch in here? Or do you want-
let's do a break
let's
first.
take a little bit of break here, and then we'll hear from Mike.
Minnesota.
We need a segue.
Yeah.
Scott Fitzgerald.
All right. Good to see you, Frank. How long you?